So I came across this TikTok. We're gonna quickly react to it. Again, Fresh and Fit. Y'all already know how they rock and how they move. If you're very unfamiliar with Fresh and Fit, a very popular podcasting platform calls themselves dedicated to helping men and navigate through cultural norms and standards of women, modern dating, and modern relationships as a whole. And so let's just give this a play.
Just marry a God-fearing woman who's Christian, Muslim, or devout to her faith, and that will save you. No, it won't. No, it won't, because these women don't believe in God anymore. They believe in Instagram and social media, likes, comments, DMs. That's their God now. Okay? In the clout age that we have now, these women a lot of the times are godless. And guess what else happens? Let's say they are religious. Let's say they do believe in God. Let's say they go to church all the time. They still reserve the right to switch up at any time and go back and revert to feministic ideals. And who's going to take that help when that happens? You are.
It isn't necessarily about if she or this person is affiliated in a religious circle or not that determines whether or not this person is going to honor you or is going to do what's right by you. Okay. But we do see just statistically how religion as a whole and others who are affiliated with religious groups and sections are better off in society. But I also want this to be known too. If you are somebody who thinks like this and who responds like this, my thought is everything else you've given to though hasn't seemed to work, right? You've kind of done the whole IG model thing. You've kind of done the whole social media standard thing, and you saw how that played out, and it didn't really go in your favor. And so I'm not necessarily saying, hey, why not try a church girl? But I'm just saying the very girl that you're looking for, speaking to the men here, right? The very girl that you're looking for is actually found in church. The good girl that you're looking for and that you're so tired of seeing all these modern women out here today doing what they do, you find them in church. So why couldn't it be that if she's a Christian, if you marry a Christian, if you marry someone who's God-fearing, who loves Jesus, who goes to church, and who develops and devotes their life to honoring Christ, why wouldn't that be the move? Right? How does it not equate to that person actually doing right by you? And the reason they're doing right by you isn't because of the title Christian. It's because of her willingness to apply the principles and standard word of God into her life, and vice versa for the guy to apply that in his life. That even makes her available to him, even makes him available to her. And they're both pursuing Christ together. I think that is what's most optimal. That's what creates the best relationships possible, is being able to say that not only do we have matching values, but because of the person that we're choosing to honor most, which is Christ in our lives, not only are we then able to understand each other, but we're also not going to overstep boundaries, or let me say like this, should not overstep boundaries and be disrespectful and dishonorable to each other because of the one we serve, that being Jesus, and the principles and standards that he supplies and gives us, and the way that we should carry and live our lives. It seems to me that that would be most optimal. So a lot of this, again, kind of comes back to the question of truth. What is truth? What are we considering truth? Because in my mind, right, and you might call me whatever, but in my mind, Jesus resurrected, bodily resurrection. The grave is empty. He is alive. Physical body couldn't be found, can't be found. Still talking about the gospel, his message, who he is today. Alive and well. I just think that if we investigate the tomb and we recognize, oh, snap, this is legit. It seems to me that living according to his standards and word just makes sense. And if it makes sense, no, it doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle and you're not going to have fights and you're not going to have disagreements and you're not always going to see eye to eye. No, it just means that I'm committed to getting things right and doing the right things, not because it's about being a good person, but because I have life and have it more abundantly in the one who gives it, not just earthly, but eternally. because there's an eternal perspective to these things. So it's really, really, I think, asinine in a lot of ways for people to exclude religion, belief systems, morality from conversations like this. Like it's necessary. And the very fact that you have found yourself excluding those things is what has given way for you to run into the type of people you're seeing, getting the type of results you're getting. And this isn't to cook you, this isn't to shame you. I'm just saying, let's look at the results here. Let's look at the results and let's make sense of it. Why wouldn't going after a Christian girl make a difference? Especially if she's truly devoted, right? That's the key. She's truly devoted. Her life and her transformation of life actually shows. Fruit in her life actually shows. Vice versa for the guy. Fruit is actually evident in his life. And then furthermore, this is kind of the last thing I'll say on this before we finish the video. And then I got a couple things I want to show you just statistically to kind of back up more of what I'm sharing here. But here's the funny thing about love, y'all. And I'm sure some of y'all have experienced this in some kind of capacity. Love is risky. Love is risky. And there is a necessity, man, for you to take a risk. You're absolutely 100% right. I will definitely give him credit where credit is due in this video, where he mentions, hey, she could easily turn back and go back to feministic ideals and all these other kind of things. Yes, anybody who you love and who you put yourself in vulnerable positions to love, to honor, to trust, they can easily, any given moment, stand up, switch up, and go the other direction. Here's the catch. So can you. So can you. So here's the thing. Love is a risk. But it's not just a risk towards all the things that could happen if this goes wrong. It's also a risk to all the things that could happen if this goes right. Right? So at some point, you're going to have to be willing. If you really want to experience love, you really want to experience genuine relationship with somebody, especially in the spaces of romantic and marriage, you have to be willing to put yourself on Front Street, which is scary, but you have to be willing to put yourself on Front Street. And if you refuse to do that, if you allow fear to keep you from experiencing that, that won't be something I believe you can actually genuinely walk into. I would much rather you just say that you are not interested in commitment and you're not interested in doing relationships the right way long term. I would much rather you say all of that than to come out and make a proclamation that all types of women are this kind of way, generalizing all types of women to be a certain way. And so then it gives you freedom to either match the energy or just completely neglect the entire situation. It is just better. It is just better to just say, man, that's not even what I want. Because truth is, if you do desire marriage, you do desire a long-term relationship, it's risky. And both of you are making a daily decision all the time to choose one another, to say yes to them and say no to everyone else, especially when it comes to the point of marriage and meeting at the altar. Both of you have that freedom and free will. And that's kind of the scary thing about relationships too, man. But here's where the comfort, here's where the trust, here's where the connection, here's where all of that really comes from. Before rejection and all those kinds of things happen to us, it happened to Christ first. See, this is why him being our foundation allows this to make sense, because I'm trusting when I walk into this space that I did the work necessary to not just uphold my end of the deal and treat it as a contract. I did what I needed to do. I put in the work necessary to become the person that I am and that God is calling me to be, to honor this space fully, to honor this person fully. I did the work, and I'm trusting, because we brought this relationship to prayer, because we put this in front of God and we got around counsel and community, because we did the work, that we're willing to step into this and commit to one another daily. Yes, it's a challenge, no doubt about it, and it's scary. But how long are we really going to allow fear to keep us from enjoying things that God created, like marriage and relationship with one another in context under covenant? How long?
She'll be a good God-fearing woman when you marry her. You give her a relationship when half the money's on the line, etc. And then as soon as she wants to switch it up, next thing you know, she's gone. And then that God-fearing woman now becomes an Instagram Mark Zuckerberg fearing woman. I need the likes. I need the attention. Modern day women have changed and they're no longer God-fearing. So since they're not God-fearing and they're Instagram-fearing and they're going to care more about getting disabled on Instagram versus not being going to the church, you need to acclimate and switch up your style.
Man, I got to be honest with you, man. And this isn't even to attack him. I don't know him personally. I don't know anybody on Fresh and Fit personally. I don't know you personally. But this is a lot of fear that I hear from past experiences where love was tried. I just want you to be in a position as an individual, whether you're single, whether you're dating, I want you to be in a position where you have relationship with God. You have relationship with your calling and assignment. You have relationship with capacity to know what you can and can't handle, where you know where you need to be and where you don't need to be. I want you to get to the place where you don't give up on relationships and you don't give up on trying love, because when you did it the first time, it crushed you. I just don't want you to give up on it, because there's so much to experience, especially when it comes to God, experiencing God in those spaces. I just don't want fear to be the control center that drives you to move in paranoia and not in a foundational truth that recognizes that I'm doing all I can do, all I need to do. I'm being all who I'm called to be. I am being obedient and submissive to Christ. And I am in a position to lead this person, to walk with this person, to pour into this person, to partner with this person, to do life with this person. And I did the homework and I trust that they did too. We've gotten around community. We did all those things. Yes, you're absolutely right. You can do all those things and it still goes south. Love is a risk though. And so if you're genuinely really wanting to build a relationship that's transformational and is purposeful and is kingdom driven, you got to be willing to take a risk. And you can't let fears like this deter you, because just as much as we can say, hey, there's a possibility that she gets up and goes, we can say just as much there's a possibility, and more so a probability, based on these statistics that I'm going to show you in just a few moments, that not only is she going to stay, not only is he going to stay in your life, lady, but this relationship and marriage is going to be amazing. It's going to take work, just like any other relationship, but it's going to be amazing. So the question that I have for you is, where are we really looking to pour our energy? Are we really looking to pour our energy in the places of lack and fear that's going to create all these false stories and narratives based on the social media picture that we see that isn't even really a legitimate picture? Like, are we really going to bank on that, or are we going to bank on truth? Are we going to bank? I'm not talking just statistical truth. I'm talking about a foundational truth. I'm talking about Christ. Like, are we going to pour in to the things that are actually going to enrich our lives, transform our lives, allow us to become who we're called to be? I think that is where it is, man. Everywhere we look, y'all, everywhere we look, there's lack and abundance. And focusing on lack is what has a lot of us in the positions that we're in, because all we focus on is what we're without, what we don't have, or what we're afraid of happening if we were to step in and give all we had. Whereas if we focused on abundance, life is enjoyed. And we're able to step into spaces just a little bit more confidently than I think we might give ourselves credit for in the beginning. And again, with Christ as your foundation, you do the work necessary, not only on yourself, but as you learn and grow with this person, to determine if this is the right decision to make. And it's a risk, 1000%. But what if it works? What if she's not like the rest of the Instagram models you've been seeing on Instagram? What if she's not like everybody else that has been described to your ear in social media, and vice versa for women to men? What if? I want y'all to see this. Now, this is from an article done in 2021 that was telling us a little bit about the most satisfying marriages. Okay. Most satisfying marriages. U.S. adults, all Christians, practicing Christians, Christians not practicing, and non-Christians. Okay. This is, again, from a study in 2021 to find out the most satisfying marriages. Very satisfied. So obviously this dark orange, 73% of practicing Christians. So it seems to me Of course, just one article, give or take, yes, but there are plethora of studies. There's actually another study that I want to kind of bring up to you after this. This reveals to us, man, hey, doing things God's way is not just optimal for society, but is optimal for your marriage and relationship status and all those things. It's where it's at. And again, it just shows us that it seems like the good girls or the good type of person that you're looking for, find them in church. Find them in church. And unfortunately, what's really tough is that there's more women statistically in church than there are men. Right? So if anything, it seems like it would be more difficult for women to find the right man or the man that they need, because again, the percentage is a little lopsided a little bit. But practicing Christians, okay, have the most satisfied marriages. Last one I want to show you. So these statistics, right? Predicted percent of wives who are very happy in their marriages from ages 18 to 50. Okay, this was actually taken in 2019 regarding, again, satisfaction in marriage, relationship quality, all right, all these different types of things. Look at this. Look at this. Predicted percent of wives ages 18 to 50 scoring above average on relationship quality. Okay, who has the highest? Highly religious, gender traditional. Second highest is highly religious, gender progressive. So regardless of the progressive or traditional, it seems like religion has a role in the quality of the relationship when both individuals are coming into that space with matching values. And then you come into here, right? Percentage of wives who are very happy in their marriages, so they're satisfied. Highly religious, gender conservative, highly religious, gender progressive. Two highest percentages. Third is secular gender, right? But see, it's so interesting because the nominal, right, seems to have some of the lower ones, but it does seem, again, matching values. And again, with the highest percentages, religion plays a role. Religion plays a role statistically. And statistically, practicing Christians have the most satisfied marriages. I just think that's something to consider. When y'all come across TikToks like this and messages like this, the description that he gives isn't to all women. It's just not to all women. Just like a lot of the descriptions that a lot of women who are frustrated give, it doesn't come and isn't toward and isn't for all men. It doesn't paint the same picture for all men. Right. And so we got to be willing to take a second step back and consider some of these things as we're journeying and navigating, whether you're single, whether you're dating, we just got to take a second. Right. Am I becoming all who I need to be? Not for the sake of pleasing this girl and putting my value in this person's hands, but being all who God has called me to be. Am I living my life according to the assignment and purposes that God has placed in front of me and God has assigned me to this life? And as I'm pursuing that, God is going to make room for the right person in my life. He's just going to. He's going to make room for the right people in my life to get me to where I'm going. And I just think that is what's most optimal. So if she is a Christian, I'm telling you right now, just off rip, you got better chances there than you do going into cultural norms and societal social media expectations. Of course, you got to go and do more digging and more understanding, more learning about that individual. But I'm just saying, if you've given yourself everywhere else and you've excluded somebody who's practicing their faith and all those kinds of things, I think there's a lot of reasons behind that. But I'm just saying, why not? Why not give Jesus a try? And why not give people who are rooted in Jesus a try? And my prayer for you, if that is a place where you just don't find yourself at right now, my prayer for you is that God would breathe a second life into you, a second wind into you, to give relationships another try, and to get yourself in a position to seek him in all things so he can do great work in you to prepare you for the relationships that he can make room for in your life that will get you to where you need to be. Because I just don't want you to miss out on something that looks and seems so beautiful because of a lot of fear and fearful responses that a lot of people are just dishing out on social media today. Because When I look at God and I look at things like that, whew, different. It's just different. It's different. So I appreciate you guys so much for tuning into this video. Listen, if you are new, let's subscribe, like this video, share this with a friend, turn on the post notifications so you know the next time we're posting. And hey, comment below another video you would like for me to react to. If you have one, send it over to me, DM it to me on my socials, TikTok, Instagram. It'll be down in the description below. And we're here dedicated to building happy, healthy, and whole biblical relationships. And until our next conversation, as always, be easy and be breezy, my friend.